love for Maradona and for Madonna.
McEnroe?
McEnroe. Their biggest thing was, यार हमारे पास तो सबसे young था मुश्ताक मोहम्मद.
Sunil Gavaskar writes him a letter saying, don't worry,
Yes.
don't be disheartened.
Yes.
You look at the list of names, there's another guy who
Same
didn't
height.
do too badly. Same height, who didn't do so badly.
In typical Bombaya language, क्या निकल के तड़ी दूँ क्या तड़ी इनको,
Did
back
he?
with the
Did
bat.
he?
That just kind of puts the spotlight on him, brings him center stage.
It's in the air. It's a 6.
Welcome to Century of Stories Cricket, brought to you by IDFC FIRST Bank. And of course, Ayaz Memon has joined me, looking dapper, looking like he's at the wicket at Perth against Dennis Lillee at his finest and Jeff Thompson on the other end. Who would you prefer to face if you had to?
Certainly not Jeff Thompson.
Yeah? Fastest ever, you think? Tough to say, no?
Most difficult. I mean, having spoken to a lot of batsmen who faced him, including the likes of Sunil Gavaskar, and he would tell you that he was dangerous.
Yeah. Also didn't like batsmen, it appears.
Yes, absolutely. Made him more dangerous.
Yeah. Speaking of dangerous, there's this fellow that came out of Mumbai in the late 80s. Forget his name. Young, 5'4.5" guy, curly hair, soft voice, but could bat like a god.
Also started off as a fast bowler. Or the ambition
Speaking
was
of Dennis Lillee. Yeah.
Speaking of Dennis Lillee. So I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
When you said curly hair from Mumbai, 5'4" something.
Yeah.
Sachin Tendulkar.
What a batsman. And you're into your journalistic career, but you must have seen him. I know you cover the Maidans and all that. You must have seen some of the early sort of work of young Sachin.
Cyrus, when I first heard about him, obviously now everybody knows of the world record partnership he had with Vinod Kamli for Sharda Ashram School, which brought him not just national but international renown.
Yeah.
And everybody started kind of tracking him and following him. And I remember where I used to work in the Midday and Sports Week office, we had once Dilip Vengsarkar, who was then the captain of the Indian team, came by and said, let's go and watch. There's this young boy batting at CCI, Tendulkar, Sachin Tendulkar. So I want to go and watch him. So I said, what's so great about him? He said, no, he's very good, Dilip Vengsarkar said. And he went ahead. I joined him later at the Bradman Stadium. The match was being played at the CCI.
Sachin was still batting.
Sachin was there, and of course the Majnu of Indian cricket, as I call him, Raj Singh Dungarpur was also there. And he said, come sit here and watch this boy play. And look at his cricketing sense that he has got at this age. I said, how do you judge it? So he said, watch him. So Sachin would push for a single, and the field would come in. And then he would hit a 4. So the rival captain would then spread the field again. He says, only, I've seen lots of great batsmen do it, but only after they've played international cricket for n number of years.
Going with the field, moving them up and down.
So that was my introduction to Sachin Tendulkar, apart from
So how old was he then? About 15, 14?
I think just about 15.
Yeah.
And that same year he started playing Ranji Trophy cricket. And he was in the running, for a place.
But how can a 15-year-old play against all these stalwarts? I'm thinking when I was 15, you're like underdeveloped sort of human being.
Yeah, not underdeveloped. I think it's unusual from a say an English point of view, where in England cricketers generally are 25, 26 by the time they play their first test match. Even Australians can be a little younger, but not as young. Pakistanis could be very young, as we know. Mushtaq Mohammad playing at 15, Javed Miadal 18, so on and so forth. Indians also generally blood their cricketers quite young. But 15 was, you're seeing a precocious youngster becoming a phenomenon.
What was his
you
confidence
could see that
like
transition
when you first saw him?
So, he's supremely confident young man. You're not even a man then.
But without being arrogant. He was just confident.
He was, you could barely hear a squeak out of him. Forget about being arrogant. He was very humble at that point in time. I don't think he himself believed.
I want to bring this up because in terms of, say, someone like Prithvi Shaw, I'm not saying he's arrogant, but there have been some prodigies and they fall by the wayside. There's something about Sachin where he didn't seem to get, that fat head that you can get when everybody's saying, wow, prodigy.
So I think it's the background and how you've been, who all you've been living with and your friends and your family, all that makes a big difference. And I remember, I'll just fast track a little bit. The first interview that I did with Sachin was in 1989. He had played in Pakistan, we'll talk about that. But this is important because it was for the Illustrated Weekly of India. So I went to his house in Bandra East
The old house.
The old house.
Now it's a huge house.
Sahitya Nivas, if I'm,
With the artist colony,
His father was a professor of Sanskrit at Kirti College.
And named him after Sachin Burman.
Right,
The music love and all that was there, right?
So
Is
I
that right?
interviewed him there in his house. He had just come back from Pakistan. He had not made 100 till then. And, he was a boy. And he spoke of his love for Maradona and for Madonna.
McEnroe?
McEnroe, But having finished the interview, and I'll send you a copy of that interview, I think it's still, fantastic because it's a cover story for the Illustrated Weekly. And then before leaving the house, I spoke to father, Ramesh Tendulkar, and I said, you must be extremely proud because he had by then played for India. So you must be extremely proud of your young boy. He says, proud to hai, lekin usko he must, उसको पैर जो है and नजर जो है ज़मीन पे होनी चाहिए.
Right.
Not being in the clouds. So that's the kind of,
background.
And he was very reverential about his father, always has been, as we know, throughout his life.
The famous story about when he goes back home and comes back and makes
back
a big 100 against Kenya in 99.
Correct. So that's the kind of, environment. Very attached to his brother, who was in many ways Ajit, like his mentor. He has another brother also, Nitin, who's much older. So very close-knit family. And therefore, you see, for all of us, and irrespective of where you come from, the values of life are imbibed very early, and therefore you grow into them. And then, of course, your experiences with your friends and how you're growing up, experiences also shape how you kind of, by the time you reach adulthood, or even after that, how you behave. So I think Sachin, in that sense, has been pretty much unchanged from the time I know.
Well, when you interviewed him, he had just come back from Pakistan. And where Javed Mian sledged him left, right and centre in a funny way.
Correct. Yeah. And everybody in Pakistan, I remember Karachi was the first test match, and everybody was curious about who's this young guy, talked about so much, and get into the test team. Because for them, their biggest thing was, हमारे पास तो सबसे young था Mushtaq Mohammed. Then the other young prodigy in a sense was Javed Mian. Some of the other blokes who played in that series.
Imran was 18,
18.
Yeah.
These were the guys,
was 19.
These were the guys who started early. But 15 and with so much of, already.
But is it true that Imran threw the ball to Waqar and also making his debut and said bounce and bowl as fast as you can to him?
I think Imran would have said that irrespective of whoever, because once you're out in the middle, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can't make allowances for, he's only 15 and bowling for him will be different for somebody like Kapil Dev or Azharuddin. So I think Imran, like all international players, and is unsparing. I mean, ultimately you want to go and play and win. So, but Sachin was an object or a subject of much curiosity, and everybody in Pakistan, players themselves, the media, they just wanted to know more and more about him. And of course, he didn't have a great first test. He made some 15
few runs,
15 runs here or there. Then he got a half century in the next match, and of course, in the last match at Sialkot became a defining match.
He and Sidhu saved the game.
They saved the game, and he got a hit on the face from Waqar Yunus. And,
and Sidhu asked him to walk off.
Sidhu asked him, do you want to walk off? And he says, nothing to do. Imran Khan was, used to field at mid-off or mid-on. And the minute he got hit, he kind of, being Imran, lordly, just turned around and looked the other way. Not to show that if I, didn't want to give any quarter.
Those were the days where they didn't even
didn't want to give any quarter. But he had a lot of, I think, also a lot of respect grows for the opponent after that when you see the guy stand up.
But that's a defining moment, right? He's just 16 years old.
He's a defining
arguably
moment.
One of the fastest bowlers in the world. Best bowling attack in the world.
Sachin's first few years offer many such defining moments. The world record partnership, of course, with Vinod Kambli. That just kind of puts the spotlight on him, brings him center stage in the cricketing consciousness of India and the rest of the world.
Right.
And then everybody's waiting and saying, there are so many guys in schools cricket who've been fantastic. But we know that by the time they reach college or university, they can't make the cut. Sachin didn't even play for university. From school, he went straight to Ranji Trophy.
He can
first-class
now.
cricket.
He has the time now.
But first-class cricket, 100 on debut.
He's got that record, in all three of our big trophies. Irani Trophy, Duleep Trophy, Ranji Trophy.
And that brought him into the short list, so to speak, of being picked for the tour of West Indies. Where
you remember where he batted in the Ranji team when he gets into a team with Vengsakar and
I think he was 5 or 6.
So he batted late middle order.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's in the short list to be taken to
West Indies.
And he's not taken to the West Indies because, as Raj Singh Dungarpur, the Majnu of cricket, explained that if he gets hit by any of those fast bowlers, he might lose his confidence forever. And that was the reason actually he was kept out.
But a few months later, you go to Pakistan with almost as good an attack.
I know, but West Indies fast bowlers coming, there's no respite in the West Indies for whatever, in their wisdom.
This is Patrick Patterson and
Patrick Patterson, Malcolm Marshall, Anthony Gray.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, so I think that, they took this call. And much to Sachin's disappointment, I remember at that point in time we used to do a video in Sports Week called Grandstand on Sports. So Tom Alter was the presenter.
Yes, famous first
and I was the producer, so to speak. Yeah, I mean that we were
good to know
because I was the editorial person behind.
This is world famous. This
So and the interview with Sachin happens at just outside Hindu Gymkhana on the footpath of Marine Drive. And Sachin comes with his brother. He's played some match somewhere. And Dilip, actually, the interview was with Dilip Vengsarkar. And he was to be the add-on. Dilip Vengsarkar was captain of India and prospects about how India will fare in the West Indies and stuff like that. So, Dilip, we were waiting for Dilip. Then Dilip's interview, it all took about an hour and a half, 2 hours, as you know how shoots take. So, Ajit Tendulkar and Sachin Tendulkar in the precincts of the Hindu Gymkhana, just a little away from us, waiting there patiently till their turn came. Then he came, and that video is there.
Yeah.
You can see where Tom asks him, are you disappointed? That you're not on the tour. He says, yeah, I'm disappointed. So the question was,
mix of shy, innocent, and yet confident enough.
Blazing ambition even then. Then so Tom asks him that. The fear was that you might get hit and you lose your confidence, and so he says, no, if I get hit, I'll become a better player. At that age. And that showed the confidence he had in his own ability. And I think that's a remarkable, and it's again a defining moment for me in watching this young Tendulkar grow up. And then, of course, I watched him make his maiden test century at Old Trafford.
Which took a few tests, 11, 12 test matches where he doesn't get it.
He didn't make 100 in Pakistan.
New Zealand
he didn't make 100 in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And he didn't make 100 in the first test in England at Lord's.
Right.
He took a great catch there. That's what I can remember. Azharuddin played one of the great innings at
Just
Lord's.
Like Graham Gooch made 300.
He made...
Kiran More drops him early and he goes on to make 10,000 runs.
Yeah. So 300 plus he made. And but in the second test, a match-saving innings from Sachin Tendulkar, who makes his maiden test century. And that becomes, in many ways, the focal point of that tour from Indian cricket's point of view. Because there was so much anticipation. First, that he went to Pakistan, kya hai, 100 banayega, first series didn't happen. Second series to New Zealand, and then it happened in England in the third series. And everybody is in a sense, looking at each other, the media or the players themselves. We all knew, ye kuch na kuch karega. And then, this is for me, I'm looking at the defining moments, is Australia, 91-92. By which time
Hughes and gang.
He makes 100 at Sydney. Shane Warne's first match. Shane Warne's first match, and Ravi Shastri is his partner in a long partnership.
Ravi gets double 100, 206.
Ravi makes 200, and Ravi will tell you that story if you ask him, where they start sledging him a bit, and he says, in typical Bombaya language, kya nikal ke tadi dun kya tadi inko, shall I go out and give them not a piece of my mind but a piece of the bat, with the bat. And Ravi tells him, no, you play don't worry about them, they will say whatever, and you play a natural game. And he gets a 148 if I remember correctly. But an even better 100 at Perth on a Perth flyer, where everybody else struggled, and he made 114. And it was an outstanding innings. I mean, it's still so vivid in my mind. And then one of the guys sitting in the press box at that point in time was John Woodcock, the celebrated writer for the London Times, who had actually watched Bradman.
Oops.
He was...
So what did he say?
And he got off his seat and kind of hobbled around, pleased as punch, and he said, Bradman.
But didn't Bradman himself say this?
That was subsequently, 1998. Bradman talks of his conversation with his wife, Jessie.
Yeah.
And he says, Jessie told me, having watched Sachin play, he says, he looks a lot like...
Closest to you that they've seen.
And of course, then Bradman called him and Shane Warne and met them. So Yeah, I mean, so many defining moments in Sachin's. From the time he started off as a precautious...
But did you ever
young-
think he'd play 200 test matches, make 51 test centuries? Did you have any idea of those mind-boggling figures? Because when Gavaskar reached 34th, I thought that will be untouchable. When I was a young boy, I thought, who's going to get there?
Yeah, I mean, but the way Sachin started, and especially after he became the Sachin, that Perth innings kind of pushed him up from being a high-quality player and a young star
To the best.
becoming a superstar, and greatness was evident. Then he would become an all-time great. Over the years, the number of runs and centuries he scored. But the first 3-4 years gave enough indication of, this guy is special. I mean, you saw it when he was in schools cricket, it just getting really reinforced more and more. And that Perth innings, I think, was a defining knock. Which
Quality opposition, fast
him,
wicket,
raised
bouncing
him
all
to
over
a
the
level
place.
or a pedestal
Yeah.
where, only the truly great can reach.
But if you go back in time, we've missed out on Achrekar and the role he played. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the whole Shivaji Park folklore, the fact that he practiced for hours, the things that he would do? I heard a story where he would bat in 2 matches.
Yes.
That he would bat and then get out and then it would send him to the next match, because you know how our Maidans are in Mumbai, where you got matches all over. So, he would actually bat twice in one day for 2 different teams.
So Achrekar believed in match practice. Play matches, not just net practice. You play matches, then you get your competitive edge also grows because you want to compete. You want to beat the other guy or the other team. So he would go from match to match if the match ends. It's not that he would give up one match and go to the other, because Achrekar was very clear that if you give your wicket away, then there's problems. So he used to also kind of tempt him into playing longer innings, batting for longer, by saying, if you don't get out, I'll give you this coin. Put it there on the stump and say, if it doesn't fall, the money is yours. $1 or $2 or whatever it might be, And that's how
He's collecting money ever since.
he's never stopped collecting
Never
money.
stopped.
But it's a fairy tale. Here's this kid to the manor born, so to speak. And everything that you expect and project about him actually ends up becoming true or coming true. And he finishes with the highest number of runs, the highest number of centuries.
Any
the highest
weakness?
number of
Did you ever
matches.
see any weakness? Like you would say, ex-batsman is weak against leg spin, or in today's context, a few against off spin as well.
No, I mean,
Fast bowling, short pitch bowling, turning wickets,
not in
batting
that sense,
fourth.
but he would sometimes, or quite a lot of times, he got out to bowlers who you would think can never get him out. Ashley Giles would bother him.
Hansi Cronje, yeah.
But these things can happen. Sometimes cricket.
But it's
can
almost
be,
like he's relaxed.
cricket can be very quirky. Sometimes it's just one of those. The adjustment to somebody's length or line or that little movement, dibbly-dobbly stuff. Guys like Mudassar Nazar got a lot of wickets.
Yeah.
But they were not great bowlers.
Yeah,
but
correct.
they just troubled and
Golden arm, they
hassled,
called it, yeah.
hassled a lot of players. So these things can happen. And so it's not a weakness, because he made a lot of runs against England or against South Africa, who Hansi and Giles played for, Ashley Giles. But against fast bowlers, against spinners, I think in the technical sense or the technical aspect, I think he was complete, and he was the worthy successor to Sunil Gavaskar, because Sunil Gavaskar was the epitome of technical excellence for us.
Correct.
And we thought that, nobody will be able to match this. Here was Sachin, also from the same school, the Mumbai school.
Yeah.
And then Sachin was also in this, having grown up watching Gavaskar and Viv Richards. So also terrific ODI batsman.
Two different sides of the coin, but both fantastic batsmen. Time for our IDFC first fact. Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar scored centuries on his Ranji Trophy, Dulip Trophy and Irani Trophy debut. It was called Trophy then, it's now Irani Cup, even before he turned 18. But you mentioned Mumbai schools before we wind up. How important, there's this word khadus that we have for the Mumbaikar, at least we used to have. The Mumbaikar cricketer, the Mumbai cricketer is another level of, like he's a dirty dog in the fight kind of guy.
Yeah.
How important was being from Mumbai, and how did Mumbai shape him, you think, playing on the Maidans here?
I think it shaped him in a big way. Mumbai cricket is like that. There are two aspects of Mumbai cricket which are very important. Everybody says Mumbai cricket and khadus and all that. So Mumbai, a couple of things happen is that you put a price on your wicket because there's a lot of hardship involved in just reaching a ground, travel, getting a chance
now,
to play.
Now thanks to the coastal road, little better.
Yeah, a little better. And if you waste that chance, then you may not get another chance early
People
enough.
should hear these stories. I'll quickly just mention that even today, the kids are brought by their fathers from Nala Supara to come to like Churchgate and Cross Maidan and places like that to play. And that's like 3-4 hours in travel every day.
Yes,
And they
exactly.
don't make it, some of them. So can you imagine the kind of hunger at the end of that?
Yes. So that's one part. I mean, even Vinod Kamble used to travel from Kanjur Marg, which is an
my
hour
God,
and a half
yeah.
away from Shivaji Park. So, and there are loads of such kids. And the other is in the Bombay environment or the Mumbai environment, expertise and information and advice is very readily shared. It's given by clubs, Dadar Union, Shivaji Park Gymkhana,
Parsi cyclists?
Parsi cyclists, Karnataka youngsters, whatever it is. The seniors love to share. They take pride in youngsters coming good. So Sachin was one of those who also benefited from Ramakant Achrekar, who was his coach, and then from guys like Sunil Gavaskar. I remember Sunil Gavaskar giving both him and Vinod Kamble, I think, a pair of gloves or a couple of bats, bat each.
To share?
No, to use.
To push them up.
And you imagine Gavaskar, world record holder, the Bhishma Pitama of batting at that point in time, doing this for you.
There's a famous...
Rohit Sharma benefited a lot. So, Sarfraz Khan, amongst the current players, they benefit so much from,
But there's a famous story about Sunil Gavaskar when Sachin doesn't as a kid, as a teenager, win Mumbai Young Cricketer of the Year, which was a big deal in those days. He doesn't get that award when he perhaps should have. And Sunil Gavaskar writes him a letter saying, don't worry,
Yes.
don't be disheartened.
Yes.
You look at the list of names, there's another guy who didn't get it, who
Same
didn't
height.
do too badly. Same height, who didn't do so badly at the end of the
so-
day. Yeah.
So I think, Mumbai, cricket has its own culture and it's been hugely influential in the context of Indian cricket because of the number of players that Mumbai has provided. It's not that the others are, players from other cities are not worthy of being in the Indian team. It's just that Mumbai is so rooted in its cultural ethos for cricket.
We have recently won the Ranji Trophy, but we are not what we were in terms of monopolizing.
That's bound to happen because it has to.
The game has grown.
The game has to.
But I
spread.
have one last question here, and that is: you say Mumbai shapes the cricketers. Then why didn't I become Sachin Tendulkar? So I played cricket.
You are the Tendulkar of your medium.
I don't have a medium. I'm between worlds. I'm in limbo. Ayaz, you're upsetting me. Wow. All right, folks, that's all we have time for. Ayaz, again, educating
There's a
us.
chance in the rebirth. Not to worry.
There's a thing called legends. Legends mein aa sakta hai. It's possible. Yeah, but so that was Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, the legend of for us Mumbaikars, extra special. But I don't think we can claim him anymore. He's for the world of cricket.
Yes, absolutely.
Wherever you're from, whether you're in Sydney or Trinidad or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or any parts of India, Tendulkar now is our gift to everybody. All right, that's all we have time for on Century of Stories Cricket, brought to you by IDFC FIRST Bank. Ayaz will end this performance with a classical rendition of the reverse pull, which he has started playing. Ayaz.
I've left it at home, the reverse pull.
Damn it. Before I go right arm round the wicket, a quick tip regarding a fraud which is getting more and more popular these days, and it's called vishing, or as I say in Bengali, vishing. In this, fraudsters do their research by tracking the target's socials and launch personalized attacks by posing to be your bank rep. They even try to impersonate the voice of a close member of your family to get sensitive information. The best way to dodge these frauds is by making sure that you never share personal information like CVV, PIN, OTP, because official bank reps will never call and ask you for these. If you need customer support, always make the call yourself using the number on the official website of the bank.